There you
Hello.
are.
Mm, hello. Mm, mm. Well, it's all right. My name is Kai. I'm just turned 38 years old, uh, mid-January. Um, I don't um, say again? No, 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 definitely not. No, definitely not me. No. I'm like the opposite of that. Well, better to be a smart ass than a dumbass, right? Smart asses. No one likes a dumbass, but everyone kind of likes a smart ass every now and again because once in a while they will say something funny. And, so, uh, so I am in the healthcare, I guess, industry, you could say. Um, but ever since I was 10, 11 years, um, able to see things that other people couldn't see, hear things people couldn't hear, and sense things that weren't there. And before you know it, I'm like 15, 16 years old, using Ouija boards because they do work. Not always, not 100% of the times, but they can work if you use them properly. And you kind of get lucky, I guess. And so pretty much, yeah. And even if you use them properly, there's no guarantee that they're going to work. So it's kind of luck of the draw, I guess. But pretty much ever since I was 16 years old was really big into the supernatural, otherworldly stuff like that. And I got a lot of stories about supernatural occurrences, demonic occurrences, places. I've gone to a lot of places in the state that I live that were supposed to be haunted or, excuse me, known to be haunted. So kind of go like ghost hunting, demon hunting. and have I have had a lot of experiences, a lot of encounters with what people would call supernatural ghosts, spirits, demons, and even angelic beings. And I have a I don't know a very I guess I'm hypersensitive to otherworldly entities and energies and beings and stuff like that. Mm, mm, yep, quite a lot. Mm. So I take a scientific approach with that. So, in terms of energy, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So, when our bodies die, scientifically speaking, anyway, when our bodies die and our bodies decay and go like all skeletal, shall we say, the insects. Well, if you're buried anyway, the insects and other critters that are in the ground eat our body. So our our bodies provide I guess sustenance to the other creatures that eat us in the ground, and it gives them energy. So, from a scientific point of view, your body breaks down, and it's your energy that was in your body, whether it's from your I guess your flesh that other animals eat, to your bones and stuff like that, give energy to the whatever's going to eat you. So, from a scientific point of view, yeah, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So, that's kind of like the take that I take, the way that my take on it. So I'm not religious, if that makes sense. So I don't have a religion, but I've studied many different religions. So I was raised Roman Catholic, and then decided on my own to not so much not believe in that, but so I was raised Roman Catholic, but I've studied many different religions, and there's a lot of similarities. So to say, not to get too religious, but to say that anyone's religion is like the correct religion, or that their God is the one true God, it's kind of I don't know the word I don't know the word to use. It's kind of not presumptuous. It's kind of I don't know the word to use, but like to say that my God is the one true God, it's like how can you definitively say that? Because there's hundreds of religions whose gods or gods in plural, they believe that their religion is the one true religion. So when it comes to religion, it's you pick one or you can pick a couple, but it's at the end of the day, it's a faith or it's a belief. So that's That's my take on religion. I don't have one anymore, but I don't knock anyone who does have one. So that's just my take on religion. But it's a good. I mean, religion is a good thing to have. It is a good thing to have. It can teach you how to behave. Instill morals in you. But you don't necessarily, in my opinion, you don't have to have a religion to instill good morals. But that's just me. Mhm. Mhm. Mm. 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 Sorry. Mhm. Right.
There's duplexes here and then a duplex here, so kind of like a horseshoe shape.
Mm.
And he has a dream of this woman. And my mom wakes up to my brother screaming, no. That's just no. And she runs, is screaming no at the. And my mom said it looked like somebody went through the clothes and wiped
Mm.
them. Like just a big swipe. And the door's open. And she's like, that's all the kids keep the door, their closet door.
Mm.
Describes this gal, and actually in a different time I'll go more into this story. But my brother that night, my mom to this day maintains that he would have died that night if he would have said yes. This young girl was murdered. Garment, her funeral gown. It, and she kept on saying, Ben, come with me. Ben, come with me. And my brother just was screaming, no, no, no. And um so I got scared. So I shut my ability down more. I would like there was a mansion that used to be a kids home there, and I remember driving up the gates and like driving through the gates, and they kept it manicured, and somebody owned the place,
Right.
and they had to shut the electricity off to this place because they were getting such high electrical bills for this mansion, and nobody's living there, and they would drive by and every light was on. My mom went and she'd take us on investigations, and I'm not lying to you, it would sound like there would be the second floor was there was still a ballroom, and I would hide driving, like, just thinking about it, I would hide at the floor well. I was so tiny.
Mm.
And my heart's just pounding because I could feel the energy in there. And uh there'd be a full like ball going on, like music, everything. You'd pull up and
Mm.
nobody was there. And it scared me. It just scared the living daylights out of me. So I didn't I got into so we were told not to use a Ouija board. But we did anyways, of course, we did what, we're told not to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, um, my mom was very firm on, you know, it intent is the biggest thing. You have to set your intent out, and you're not old enough to understand that you're just throwing a fishing line out there hoping to catch, grandma
But you don't
and
know what's you don't know
anything
what's
else.
going to catch the line and come.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yep, you don't know
You don't
what's
know.
gonna come through that. And and I hate when I hear, Ouija boards are bad. No, they're not actually bad if they're used correctly. But you do have to make sure you close them down. You do have
So
to say goodbye.
so
Your
it's not
intent
that
has.
it's not the Ouija. So it's not the Ouija board. All right. It's not that Ouija boards themselves are bad, but at the same time, it's not that they're good. So I mean, even if a person's intent is really good and true and just because of what they're capable of, I guess you could say, because they're not going to work. They're not
Mhm.
always going to work, but it's they're neither good nor bad, if that makes sense. At the same time, they can either
Yeah.
be good or they could be bad. It just depends on how it goes. So it's been my experience that I don't want to say that nothing ever good comes from using a Ouija board if it's going to work, but certainly, it's more bad than good if that makes sense. So a
It
common
is. It
a
is.
common a common misconception that a lot of people have, and I do understand the misconception. So, and I forgot the creators, but the Ouija boards were originally designed as a game, and they still are. They're still produced. They're still made. They sell them
Yep.
in. I mean, not anymore, but when Toys R Us was around, Toys R Us used to sell them, and they're marketed and sold
Yep.
as a game.
Walmart sells them.
So a lot of people mistakenly, will say, "Oh, I'm not playing with that," or "I'm not going to play with the Ouija board." And not to get all like technical or whatever, but you don't play with the Ouija board because you play with games, you play with toys. A Ouija board is a tool, just like a hammer to build a house or a drill or something. A Ouija board is a tool that you would use to attempt to communicate with the dead, otherworldly stuff. So
Yep.
you don't play with it; you use it. And there are a couple of rules that you have to follow. I mean, it's just I don't say common sense rules, but so one of the rules is, you know, don't antagonize if something does communicate with you. Don't
Yep.
antagonize because whether or not you
People
believe
love
in
to
whether or not you
antagonize them.
believe
I don't get
in
it.
whether or not you believe in ghosts, spirits, or demons, and we've all seen movies with demons and stuff, but still, why would you want to antagonize something that you can't see, potentially can't hear, and can't defend yourself against? Or even if you can see it, I mean, again, like we've all seen like The Conjuring, Constantine with Keanu
Yep.
Reeves, Insidious, those movies.
Yep.
Is it Hollywood up? Yeah, but at the same time, like demons they're not weak. They're not weak. They can toss you around if they really wanted to. So why would you antagonize? That'd be like me going up to Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Now, I'm not a tiny guy, but I'm not built like him. That'd be like me going up to him and just pow, slapping him in the face.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, you're gonna slap me in the face?" Like I can't defend myself against him. So why would you want to antagonize something you have pretty much no hopes of defending yourself against? Second rule
And
is, don't. I mean, it's more of an unwritten rule, but you shouldn't ask whatever you do communicate with if it presents itself or portrays itself to be, let's say, someone that has died. You don't want to ask it how it died, because some people die in their sleep. Some people die very violent deaths. So you don't want to ask
yeah.
how something that you're in communication with that is portraying itself or purporting itself to be a person that died, how it died, because it could trigger memories and it might not go good for you. Third rule is and pardon the expression, but for the love of God, don't be a group of like. So sorry. Another rule is don't use it by yourself. There's a saying
No, that's
there's
very,
there's a
very
saying
unsafe.
like there's powers in groups. There's uh
Groups and yeah, power
yeah,
in numbers.
thank you.
Like that's
So
why witches use covens because it's makes if you're gonna
so
cast,
the more people you have, right, the stronger.
yeah,
So like
you're
don't use it by
stronger in
yourself.
numbers.
Don't use it by yourself. And if you are going to use it with a group of friends, but for the love of God, pardon the expression, don't use it with a group of friends that are I don't want to insult anyone, but we all have like one or two friends that do the dumbest stuff ever. They'll do the things
Yep.
that you're not supposed to. So don't bring a group of friends together where even if it's one person who is gonna I'm not gonna curse, but up. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Don't have
you know it.
the friends that you can't bring if you were to use a Ouija board. That's gonna be like, oh, this is bull. This is and just like saying because it like this is bull. Like, oh, you're dead. Haha, can't get me. Like, like no, just
Just wait till
avoid
you go to sleep at
just
night
just
and
avoid the
you're a
risk.
lying duck.
Like, even if you're a person who 100% hardcore doesn't believe in ghosts, demons, all that stuff, there is a chance that you're wrong, that it might exist. You never know. So why would you want to take
They
the
do
unnecessary
exist.
risk? Why would a person want to take the unnecessary risk to have that one friend in the group who just says, like the dumbest antagonistic stuff ever, and then so like don't have that person in your group. Or if you are that person, just sit out. So don't antagonize whatever you're communicating with. If you're lucky enough to get in communication with something, don't ask it how it died if it's portraying itself to be a person. Don't say just don't do stupid stuff. I mean, we're all adults. We all, for the most part, have common sense, and you have to say goodbye. But not only do you have to say
You have
goodbye,
to.
the planchette has to move to goodbye. So if it doesn't, so if you say all right, goodbye, and it doesn't move, the board's still open. Or if it moves to no,
Yep.
it has to move to goodbye. And then kind of another rule to go along with the goodbye rule. If you're gonna say all right, we'll talk to you tomorrow, goodbye, and the planchette moves to goodbye. If you don't talk to it the next day, that's not right. It's not right. So, but Ouija boards can work. They're not always going to work, but they can work. So,
And
you
and
know.
I've and
Oh,
I've
and don't ever
I've
burn a Ouija board. Don't, for the love again,
no,
excuse
that
my expression.
no.
Don't, for the love
There
of God, don't ever burn a Ouija board because it's just. So picture a
mm-mm.
Ouija board, right? So we'll say this pack of cigarettes is a door, right? It's closed, it's open, it's closed, right? So it's the Ouija board is always, I guess, closed until you start using it. But so if you burn it, so picture this as a door in your home or in a room, and you burn it, the door is gone, but the opening is permanently. It's permanently the opening that the
Not
door
open.
was covering. It's permanently there. Whether or not you believe in it, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you believe in it or not. Just don't ever burn a Ouija board because it's like you're leaving a portal open and shit. Excuse my language. Shit can just start. It might not, but don't take the risk.
But you know what? You know how many stories I've heard of people doing that, and then their activity
Oh,
flares
it
in their
increases.
home, and they're having marital
Mhm.
problems. Their life is just everything is going to crud. And I tell people, I'm
Yep.
like, "Eh," and also handmade boards are even stronger.
Yes,
Now,
because
once
they're
you
more
get a
personal.
choice,
They're more
because you
personal.
put your yeah, you put yourself into it. You put your own personal energy into that board.
Your time and your effort. Yep.
And yes, and I tell people, if you have an Ouija board and you want to get rid of it, one, if it's something older, get there's a lot of haunted museums that'll take pieces off of you. There
Or just
are collectors, um, or get a hold of if you know, there's native people around, and shaman are underused. They will actually do a 7-day ritual with the board, and they actually put the board in water,
hmm,
and they end up burying it after it'll do so many days in the water, and, like, I've seen them do it at, when it's cold outside.
hmm.
Excuse me, sorry, my nose is running. One of these days, I'll urged it where it cannot be disturbed, like, on a sacred, and they actually do kind of a ceremony, and, you know, uh, you know, s and then a lot of people, it's going off that, they think sage is the answer, and it's not. Sage is
It works,
as
but
good as
10 minutes
it
maybe,
work
maybe
you're
10 minutes.
it's a Band-Aid on a gushing wound, like, you're just putting Band-Aids on it, and, you know, when you like Kaya just said about a board, burning it, you pretty much have a 95% chance that board's gonna open, and you now have a portal. You have a train station, and a
Hmm.
lot of people will burn them in their front yard. So where's that train station at? And where are they gonna go for food? Low vibrational entities, a second dimensional entity. When investigators get scratched, burned, that is demonic energies. Or a fourth vibrational is a spirit that's died tragically
Hmm.
that is confused. They can be crossed over. Now, demonic things can be crossed over. If there's a little light left in it, you can get it to cross. But like for somebody like me, I would make my guardians take it and be dealt with. And if it's something that has no light, then it's just gonna be guardians, it's gone. You have to banish it from this our third dimensional world. It just happens. But, you know, Ouija boards, like, I would have no problem sitting down with you, like, in the factory that
Hmm.
hopefully we'll get to touch on a little bit that I can't wait. I cannot wait. Um,
Yeah,
Simpson
that place is.
Hospital and this oyster factory are my bucket list places I want to go, and I'm going to go to both of them. I mean, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, wouldn't you want to like go to the Sally house or this house?" I like going to places that are not so investigated out where
Hmm.
everybody investigates. I mean, there are so many places that
That people have
I mean,
investigated 100 times over. Yeah.
yeah, and I think you know, it, I want to show on this channel that there are other places that you can actually get evidence, and I have no problem giving my raw footage to a debunker like Beardo or Seg or any of
Hmm.
them because I'm not gonna be fishing lining that none of that. Now I believe Spirit Talker is the one app that because you cannot add any words into that app.
Hmm.
If it's relevant to what you're talking about. Now, do I put everything on that app? No, because it is still an app. But if
Right.
it's relevantly spitting out things, it's just like you can get on an Estes method and, one, it should be AM radio, not FM.
Hmm.
And you're listening to it, you may not get anything in the Estes. Um, you may get multiple things said. I also, personally don't I I think the the energy pumps are a better idea than offering your own energy because attachments are
Safety.
rare, but you can get attachments. They do happen and they are not easily it's
Remove.
not like you can just get rid of it. Like, "Hey,
It's not.
I'm
It's not.
done, I'm done playing your games," and it
Right. It's
will
not one of
affect
those be gone.
every
Saying, yeah.
yeah, "Be gone, Satan,
Yeah.
be gone." It doesn't work
It
that
doesn't
way.
work that
It
way.
literally will stay attached, and it will take a very talented person, um, you know,
To deal
to
with
get
it.
rid of it,
Mm.
to deal with it, and it's multifaceted of
Oh yeah.
and a lot of people, they'll miss like, if you like, when you clear homes, they'll miss that energy sometimes, and you have to warn them of that. They're so used to that, like, oppression and stuff like that, that you have to warn them. you know, "Keep keep your vibration up," because you can we may have fixed this, but you'll get to where you'll by the 3rd day, you kinda miss that because 'cause you've had it for, that energy going and things going on for so long,
Mm,
and it they can miss it, and it's like, do not communicate. When, I come in, you can tell a true medium really by the way when they walk into a place. If they start spouting off information, like, it's a difference of telling history, but if
mm.
I walk into a place or you would walk into a place, we're gonna be
Observing,
protected.
feeling.
We're gonna be yeah, we're gonna be our
I'm
first
gonna be
we're
looking
not gonna
around.
be able to
I'm gonna be
yeah,
observing. I'm gonna be feeling. You feel it out. You observe. You study it. You don't. I
yeah.
just don't walk into a building and like, oh, okay. Well, this person in 1920, like, no,
In fact, no,
that's
it
not the way.
doesn't work that way. You start because the biggest misconception I see, and it drives me bonkers, is there's children. Now, take a place like Penhurst. Yes, there are children stuck there because they went through tragic, horrible things. But most kids, even if it's a tragic death, they pass. They they go. They do not stay on this earth. It's a rarity, and
Right.
normally the low vibrational entities love to, or even an old earthbound spirit that misses Earth and wants to be, and you're kind of food. Your energy is food for them. They'll pretend you're calling out for Timmy, which names in the psychic world, eh, you know, they're no longer in the third dimension. That
Mm,
name doesn't always connect to them anymore. That's why,
right.
you might call Mr. Sachs out who died 200 years ago in this, 1600 or 1700 built home,
And you'll
and
get
you
someone
don't get
completely different.
anything, but, they'll be like, "Oh, there's kids here." 99% of the time, no, there are no children there. It's places like asylums
Mm,
and hospitals that you might find a child,
maybe.
but
And
most
also,
kids, they immediately go. It is just kind of a law that it's just they go
yeah.
and you just don't.
And also
And
to add to that, if someone's ever, and it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in your home. You could be in a haunted place, anywhere. If something presents itself to you, not as a child, but if it verbalizes that they're a child, red flag, because
big
children
red
know that they're
flag.
children. Kids know that they're kids, if that makes sense. So, like, if
Yep,
you're if you're in let's say if you're in the grocery store, right? And it happens, but let's say you're in a grocery store, you at a fair, something, and a little kid runs up to you. I can't find my mommy. I can't find my daddy. Okay, like where were they last, or and whatever. Like during that conversation, the kid's not going to come up to you and say like, "Hi, Mister, Mrs., Mister or Mrs. Stranger. I'm a kid. Can you help me find my mommy and daddy?" Like, no, kids know that they're kids. Kids, for the most part, know that adults know they're kids. So if anyone's ever somewhere, your own home, it doesn't matter where, and there's an otherworldly being, creature, whatever, that even if it looks like a child, or even if you can't hear it or see it, rather, if it says, "Oh," not in these exact words, but to the effect of, "I'm a child." Children don't really tell adults that they're children or that they're a child. They might
mm-mm,
say their age,
no,
but that's only if you ask them. So if anyone ever comes across something and it basically says I'm a child or I'm a kid, and it most likely say it's a child, red flag, because again, children
big
don't
red
introduce
flag.
themselves to stranger like, "Hi, Mr. Stranger, I'm a kid," or, "I'm a child and my name is what," like, no. And it won't tell you their age by itself. If you ask it, it might. But so major red flag, because children, and the reason why it's a red flag, at least in my opinion, because children are, for all intents and purposes, innocent. They don't have very many sins, if any, and
Yep.
Society protects children. It's put all the
Yep.
politics aside and whatever else, but society, like in general, protects kids. If you see a child that, God forbid, just got hit by a car, and you're an adult, what are you going to do? You just going to stand there, or are you going to run over
No,
and try
you're
and
gonna run
help?
a Yep.
Right. And demonic entities and otherworldly beings, for the most part, understand that we as humans, we do that. So it's going to present, if it does present itself to you, a child, and it says that it's a child or a kid, it's doing that to play off of human, I don't say human social norms, but like it knows that adults are way more likely to help a child than another adult. So that's the
And
reason why it most likely will say that it's a child, because it wants to draw you in, like, oh, it's a child, okay, let me put my guard down. This isn't right. It's a ghost. It could be a demon. I know it's not alive, but it's a child. How bad could it be? So like no, red red flag.
most imaginary friends
No,
are not kids. They are
no.
actually anything that's demonic or fourth vibrational. They can present themselves like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they no longer have a physical body, so they can float through anything. They can walk right by this camera. You would never see a thing. They
Mm-hmm.
can walk by. I've seen them walk by camera after camera, and nothing is tipped off.
I call
It's
them Mr.
normally not. Yep.
That's what I refer to
They.
them as. They're not
Yeah.
all.
They.
I just want to backtrack real quick. A lot of children, it's very common for them to have an imaginary friend, but that's all it is. It literally is just an imaginary friend.
Imaginary friend.
But then there are children that have imaginary friends that that we as adults, we chalk it up to imaginary friend. Like Timmy, who are you talking to? You'll see Timmy, in his room coloring, at the little table, like talking, like, Timmy, who
Hmm.
are you talking to? Oh, I'm talking to Johnny, Billy, whatever. Oh, who's that? Oh, he's my friend. Oh, how you doing? And you just, like, as adults, we play into it because we know, kids have imaginary friends, so we feed into it for a certain amount of time. But there are children who do have an imaginary friend who's it's not an imaginary friend. It's something that's actually either physically, well, not physically there, but energy wise is there that the child sees that we as adults don't. And I've referred to them as Mr. Nobodies or a Mr. Nobody. And
There
I have,
was there was Amy Allen when before Amy Allen did the Dead Files, anything. There was a little girl, and his name was Mr. Gordy,
mhm,
and he actually presented himself as his adult body, and he kept on saying, um, "Mr. Gordy," telling her mom, and
mhm,
he actually was there to save the he stayed on. He didn't pass, like, he had passed,
mhm,
and he stayed because something I think if I remembering, because 'cause it's been a while since I'd seen this, something demonic was, like, in their home, and he was keeping it at bay,
mm.
and when Amy came in, she realized that Mr. Gordy was actually protecting the little girl and the mother, and she ended
That
up
can happen,
getting
yeah.
rid of of the demonic, and Mr. Gordy ended up leaving. Yeah, and the little girl was very sad, which I could understand. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you know, but we have a purpose. We come
What
down
do
here
you
with a
do?
purpose, and we don't always know what our purpose is. Like, and when you die, you're also given a purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that big, beautiful baby. How are you, Miss Trixie?
She was kicking my leg.
Bear
Hi, baby.
Bear's dead out. I mean, out. Like, he can
This is
care
my
less.
dog,
I'm
everyone.
surprised.
This is Trixie, or as I call her, Moo Moos, because you're a little fat butt. Sorry. She was kicking my
She's a
leg.
cute
Like, she was
butterball.
kicking my leg. Yes. She's definitely she needs a lot of attention. So she was laying on her back and she was kicking my leg. So I was like, "What are you doing? Stop!" So I babysat.
I'm trying to talk here, but
Mhm.
I mean, I always tell parents with kids with imaginary friends, don't don't you know special needs kids. I worry more about because they are beacons.
Mm.
I was watching. I sent it to you and Dad. The psychic medium. Well,
Yes.
I'd watched the next one and it was of kindred spirits and it was like certain moments and there was something with um um like imaginary friends and the psychic medium was talking about one of the cases he dealt with was there was a nonverbal autistic boy
Mm.
and he was demolishing his closet, like beating his closet up. Well, to him, the bad thing was coming in through the closet, so he thought if he
Yeah.
beat up that closet,
Hmm.
and he couldn't say what
What
was
he was
going
doing.
on with, yeah, what he was doing. And everybody in the chat, I am going to make sure Kai's link is posted. This will be on Kai's channel. I will have Kai say his name here in a minute of his channel. Please go subscribe. I do not know why the chat, I enabled it. Something's going on. I will figure it out for the next live. Um, so that we can talk,
And
so that you
interacting
guys
with
can
that.
ask questions. I feel really bad because I'm sure we'd have more than just 3 people. If they could talk, I have no clue why I have
Well,
it
do you
where
do you want to maybe like end this live stream and then try and start it up again to see if you can get the chat working, or like
we
do
could,
it
but
another
now,
time?
I mean, let's do a few more minutes and then the next
Sure.
one, now we know how we get you on. And
Mm.
then the next one, I'm gonna look on because I pushed the buttons and I may have pushed the buttons back, not thinking. And I just
Well,
want to touch a little bit on your what I'm excited to is the oyster factory. Now Kai has a different set of skills. None of us are alike. We all now there's Claire's. There's like I'm clairvoyant, so that means I can hear, see, smell, and everything. There's clairaudient where you can just hear. Um there is clairsentient,
mm,
seeing, um and I'm forgetting the others. One smell, I'll remember, I should know these off the top, but smelling them, you can smell the energy. That sounds weird, but you can smell smell them out pretty much, or smell something um that they've left behind, that energy left behind. And there's one more, and you can actually build your clairs,
mm.
if you're not as strong. Now, Kai is meant he deals in the like I can deal in the dark entities, but his gift was given to him for dark entities, where I am more I can read for people.
Yeah, I
I
can
can
do that.
see them, and there will be a time that I my guardians, your guardians will everybody has guardians. Everybody does. You know that little gut feeling in your belly when you know you shouldn't do something and you do it anyways? That's your guardian. That's not just your head. That's your guardian saying, "Hey, dum dum, listen to me. No, 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 no. listen to that gut because it's your guardians telling you stuff. They normally, they're your loved ones are always with you. They're not stuck up in heaven. They can come when they want. They can, a lot of times they will leave signs. A lot of people miss those signs. Um, and there will be a time that my guardians could change and they'll say, okay, you've dealt with this, you've done this so long. You now are being called to do what Kai does. And that is to more or less keep the demonic things out of our third dimensional space. Because, yes, there are demonic things in our space. They
Yeah.
love to they love to wreak havoc. Um, I've had 3 instances of talking to Kai where actually one night, I think it was just a text, and it was over the talking to him about, something, and I have where I scratched my skin, and I had not I have a nursing degree, was in healthcare for years, um, I know when I ate something that may contain something that I'm allergic to. When you've not ate anything and you've not consumed anything with, milk or that could have any cross contamination, uh, explaining a hive, like full body hives, like I've had them, I'm like digging at myself, and I have actual marks, scabs from where I dug at my arm one night, just us briefly mentioning this,
We're
and
talking about the
then
Oyster Factory.
Um, yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about this, and then, um, Kai, we're going off his schedule because he does have more demanding things than I do. Um, so hopefully we can get him back on soon, and we will talk more about this. But I would like him to speak about this place
Sure.
because this place, I am excited
It's off the hook.
I'm excited to meet Kai, and I'm excited to go to this place. Um,
So I deal, and I don't want to say that I deal with, but I encounter way more demonic stuff. It's just it's pretty much always been like that. Few angelic, I guess you could say, but it's for the most part, it's always been demonic. From my Mr. Nobody when I was 4.5, 5 years old, to Watcher demons, to guides, just soldier demons, half breeds. I mean, so the state that I live in.
he knows the stuff.
So I
He knows
live
the stuff.
I live in New York, on Long Island. Um, so there's a place. It's way out east on Long Island. It's one of the last towns before you hit Montauk, which is literally at the end of Long Island. It forks at the end like a fish, I guess. So there's a North Shore and a South Shore. So yeah, I'm probably mixing it up because I always forget, but I'm pretty sure the South Fork point is Montauk, and yeah, the North one is called Orient Point. So it's one of the last towns before you hit the very end of Long Island, called Greenport, and there's a building. It's
Hey,
two, but
Arthur.
there's a building called the Oyster Factory, and it was just that. It was an oyster factory way back in the day. A couple people died, a couple workers died there, machinery deaths or whatever else. But it is, I'll put it this way: anyone that I've ever brought, any any 100% non-believer in ghosts, demons, paranormal, supernatural, anything like that, any person I've ever brought to the Oyster Factory who is 100% not a believer, and not to hype it up, but either ran out of that place or moved their behind really quickly out of that place. 100% a believer. There is so much activity in that building. It's insane, and it's not ghosts. It's not poltergeists. Like the building itself. The building's not haunted because there's a difference between an object being haunted, a building being haunted,
Mhm.
and an object being possessed or a building being possessed. This
Or the
building,
land being haunted.
so the building itself is possessed, and because there's so much, and I'm not just talking about like little, you know, ghosts and goblins and little tiny, you know, like demons running around. It's some hardcore, I mean, extremely powerful demons and dark entities there that the ground itself has not that's changed, but you could just feel it. I mean, even a person who has no sensitivity to it can feel it. I brought an ex-girlfriend of mine there, and we just parked in front of it. So you get there, and there's a fence, and then maybe 150 feet there's one of the buildings. So we were parked in front of the building, and the wind's it's not whipping hard, but like it's blowing hard enough for the trees to be moving. I'm sorry, the branches to be moving, and you could hear the leaves rustling. Like it was that windy. It was like I think beginning of October a couple years ago. But right in front of the building, no sound. There's like no sound, and you get this vibe like oh my god, like the building itself, just being in front of it and looking at it gives you the creeps. So I've been in there a couple times, and the only way to get in there is you have to break in. You either have one, you have to either climb the fence or cut a little hole in it, and then once you get to the building, you physically have to break in. You either have to rip one of the boards down, or take a drill and remove the screws or whatever to get in. And I've never been all the times I've been inside the building, I've never not once had something not happen or encounter something. And again, any person, anytime I've ever brought a person there, even if they're 100% non a believer, they always left that building a believer. So it's
This is with no equipment. I mean,
you
I
know
you
no,
know,
you don't need any equipment for this place. This place has more
no, it
compared to the Amityville Horror House. So, as a quick side, so compared to the Amityville Horror House, which is it's a very extremely I don't say maybe the most famous, supernatural place or whatever else, but it's pretty much up there. Um, compared for the people that know that compared to the Amityville Horror House, the Amityville Horror House is like Chuck E. Cheese. It's like nothing compared to the Oyster Factory. And I've been inside that. I've been inside the Amityville house. I actually not interviewed, but kind of like a long story short, I had about an hour's discussion with the one of the homeowners there, and so the Oyster Factory, it pales in comparison to compared to the Amityville Horror House. It's like nothing else. It's like nothing I've ever seen, and you always encounter something. Always. I've been there 10 times. Well, I've been inside the building about 10 times, maybe a little more, and it's always something. And it's not something that you can explain away, like, oh, maybe it was a squirrel running around or a raccoon. No, you have objects come out from like the corner. Cinder blocks move in front of you. Cinder blocks explode. I've seen heavy metal desks come out of the shadows and like screech to a halt right in front of you. To the point, and it's like you go to move the desk and you can't move it. I've had my keys have been around my neck on a lanyard. Not like poof, but like it'll be my car keys are on my lanyard, and then as I'm getting ready to leave, it's like they're gone and they'll be outside. So it's always interesting,
and
scary.
one of these days we'll get into his how we got into the Amityville whorehouse, which was actually quite well. And
I thought it
something
was pretty clever. I thought it was pretty
I
clever.
think you I think it was I think that was
It
a
was
well
ingenious.
played move. I would say that was a G move. That was gangsta. That was the way to do it. I mean, and I feel for those people because that house is like the Conjuring house. But I tell people take note of animals. If you notice a place like the Conjuring house, like lots of famous YouTubers, Sam and Colby, a lot of people have been there. You notice there are not any animals. Those fields and those woods should be filled with animals. Filled.
I mean, there's a reason
Deer.
why birds don't
You
even fly
don't
over the property.
Yeah, like, I've seen drone shots of the place.
Mm,
And you're not seeing, like, yeah, they may have cut something out, but you're not seeing wildlife. Like,
mm,
those trees should still have birds, or there should still be, I mean, you've got green grass. Deer are gonna eat the green grass. They're gonna go where there's food.
mm,
You know, they're gonna forage there. You don't see it, and I bet that oyster factory, you don't see any animals near it at all, because the animals, just like I talked about, I asked people, "What is your belief on animals seen?" Because I'll tell you, I've had animals that have caught on that something's there, and I've lived in homes. I lived in a home that still stands to this day. It was almost 100 years old when we moved in. I was 7 or 8 at the time, and I had issues with the bedroom. I got this big, beautiful bedroom, and that bedroom, I never slept a night in it. Not one night.
mm.
One night. And when I had to go get things, I ran in and I ran out. I mean, my little legs, I was a tiny person as a kid. I was tiny. I would run up the stairs, and I wouldn't say I was the cleanest child, but I wasn't dirty either. Like, I wasn't a messy kid. Um, but I kept things well organized in that room. Like, I um would grab and go, and I moved one room over and slept every night like a baby. Like, I was, you can laugh, I was big into New Kids on the Block. I was in love with Joey, you know, kids and your teenage
Yeah.
crushes. And I I think I wanted to grab something to like, I had gotten like some magnets, and uh I wanted to show my friend, and I mean, I'd grab, and I had weird dreams at that house. Like, now when I remember dreams, somebody is gonna pass. Um, it's the lay of the land. I have one deja vu dream that happens every year. I wake up panicked, in a sweat, and there's a meaning in it, but I don't know what it is. And it's the same dream. But if I remember a dream, I find out somebody's passed. And this house still stands, and my brother had some major, like, him and his buddy got so scared at what they saw at this house that we had a big barn, and it had a
Mhm,
huge spotlight, and it would turn on. I think it was like solar was just really big, like it would turn on
mm,
at dusk. And my mom my mom left us with, like, she'd get with a man, after she left my dad, she'd get with somebody, and then she found my stepdad. Well, she left us with, my grandmother. It was my grandmother's friend of so many years, and we stayed with him. My mom was in California
mm.
for a month on end, and he was really, really good to us. I can't say anything bad about Don, and he acted like a second dad to me. I mean, it was really hard for me to, you know, I was a daddy's girl, and my dad was just gone one day. I mean, there wasn't parental kidnapping. My mom was hiding me from my dad, and that house also I'll get out of the dad thing or I'll get mournful. Um, uh, not even 3 miles from that home. So, the Green River Killer was active at that time. They found one of his victims 3 miles from that house. Now, imagine being 10 years old, you're hearing this on the news, and you're not realizing it's prostitutes this person's going after. You just think there's this deranged killer out there as a 10-year-old, and they find a body. Oh my god, was I scared for I didn't wanna go anywhere, anywhere. I was so freaked out. I was like, "No, I don't wanna go to that beach. We don't know who's gonna be," and yeah, and come to find out here, I had a fear of somebody that was not killing just random I mean,
Mhm.
people. It was people he thought were below him, which is sad and, um, tragic. I actually saw her, and I think my brother actually saw her, and his friend actually saw her as well. Like, my brother was like, "Are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing?" And after that had happened, and I, oh, Trixie, loving on her daddy. Yeah, Bear was here growling. I was like, I hope nobody thinks I'm growling at them. It's the dog. He saw something and um was growling. I'm wondering how investigating with him is gonna be because he growled at the cemetery and wouldn't go out and use the restroom at all. Like, not even grass near anything. He would not he held it in. Like, I was like, "Dude, I know you have to go, like, it's been hours." Would not, and he'd sit and growl, and I'm like, "Wow." But, yeah, this this house, I've thought about going back because I don't think anybody lives in it, and
Mhm.
actually seeing what terrorized me as a kid. I think, 1, it's beautiful country there. It's Matlock, Washington, and, it's logging. It's a tiny logging town. It has a lake that's gorgeous that I it has either tiger's eye or true turquoise in the water. Like, you could pick
Nice.
the rock up and I mean, there were so many. I caught salamanders. I mean, I had a mouse as a rat actually was one of my pets.
Mhm.
Um Yeah, I had some things, but, uh, yeah, I got to with me, it took me accepting that I had this gift and I was given it, and, you know, your upbringing was a little bit different, so I understand how you worked into yours, whereas, I had that, like, it wasn't like I had a mom that explained that fear, that it was what I was seeing, like, it was she was all into it, and I mean, my mom is, fascinating, like, my mom can read tarot like there's no other, and I've begged her because she is so talented at it. She'll know your question before you're gonna even ask it. She'll know the question, and but she loves genealogy, and I'm like, "But you could make money at this and then go to that," but, it's her choice. I can't change her thought process on it, but, she kinda grew up with us kids, and, so that led to me coming into it. um, I was left alone, 4 days a week, when I lived with my Uncle Tom,
Because
and before I had a boyfriend that was, staying at my house and stuff, I
hmm
slept with the lights on and didn't really sleep because I would get bothered, and I would get thoughts that I know, and that's also a clair. Getting thoughts that are not your own, they're not your own thought. Like, you know, I can, I'll, I'll, I'll I've been called a human lie detector. Like, I may not tell you I know you're lying to me because that's sometimes it's not worth calling out, but I'll know that you've lied. And and it's funny. And one of the clairs is, knowing, and you'll get thoughts. And I do get, in a lot of my reads, it's if somebody won't step in, like when I ask them to step up or come up, I'll ask them, hey, step closer, and sometimes they get symbols. They run out of energy. They have to have
yeah,
energy to step forward. And if they're further back in the shadows, and you know I'll ask them to step up and they don't, I sometimes it's symbolism they'll show me and things like that, and I'll have to, or they'll give me a thought that's clearly not one, and I'll blurt out like um names. When I read for my I'm gonna I'm gonna call my adoptive dad Tom. Uh
hmm
he asked me about names, and I was getting, like, I walked all around this name, all around,
hmm
like all around names, and they were trying to help me, like, and they're showing me like it's further down the alphabet. It's a simpler name, and blah 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 blah. And man, I was one. I got, like, he asked me about what his mother did, and I
hmm
said, well, I got that. I knew that she'd had a career, but I was thinking, when she told me that she did something with cash, like, I'm like, well, she was a cashier at one point. I know that, like, and at the end of her, like, later on, she was. And hopefully he doesn't mind. I don't think he'd mind me telling a little bit about this. But I said to him, I said, she did something. I know it was a higher education. It wasn't. And he also asked me what he went to college for. And I said, and I kind of walked around a little bit, and I was, there, I'm getting information.
yeah,
And I said, she was a teacher. And he's like, oh my God. And he said, well, what did I go to college for? And I go, well, I know it's not a trade school. And I said, I think you walked in the same footsteps as your mom. I think you went to school to be a teacher. And sure enough, you had. And, I get those thoughts. I just know they're not. I'm like, okay, this is not something I'll be thinking about, girly things, or,
mm,
the
right,
dog, or, you know, uh, and I'll get those thoughts, and that's how it works. Or, you know, I can I can sit on live streams and they say, well, how could you see anything? I can fill out energies now, and I can see when stuff walks by a camera, and I
mm,
know when there's faults, because none of the equipment, I think minimal equipment, the less you use. Now, I do think that a REM pod is, for for all sense and purposes, people are visual and you have to be entertaining.
right,
You're gonna need some equipment. I think a REM pod, an epoch, and a recorder and a tripwire are all really the things you need. I don't and a spirit box. I do think for the Estes method because you can get things through the Estes and but I think those but I don't think you need um all these crazy things to go out and investigate. A
Yeah.
DR-60, they're not worth the 5 grand. They
Mm.
quit using them in the medical field because they were crap recorders. 5
Mhm.
grand for a recorder that is gonna give you false EVPs? No,
Yeah.
thank you. You can go get a you can $20 recorder is going to if something's going to whisper into it
Mm.
or talk, it's a simple recorder. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars to investigate. But I
Right.
also think doing your due diligence of your own research. Homeowners now, if you're paying where me and you have talked that, I want to go to places that aren't like, the Oyster Factory, places that are
Mm.
not, you know,
Well known
over,
on the map.
yeah, yeah,
Like they
it's
just yeah.
to the point where it's overdone. It's like I think Virginia City would be really cool to go to. The Goldfield doesn't get like I've seen a few investigations there, but uh Ghost Adventures actually came here and we have in Colfax there's a hospital. They actually and so did Nick Goff when he had his own channel. He came to Colfax, Washington, literally not very far from me. I'm not going to say the mileage just because of safety as a female, but
Right. Right.
um uh they investigated it. They actually opened the 3rd floor during Halloween. They do a tour and stuff. You can
Mm.
go and pay and go through it, and it's got some things. And the Civic Theater that I've shown on camera, I've shown just the sides, and they're doing construction on it. I don't think they've broken ground yet, but they have, like, the fencing up, but, I could squeeze through the fence. I would like
Mhm.
to talk to somebody about going in there because and sadly, multiple homicides happened there.
Mm.
There's a man's body that they have never found, and he had nothing to do with this. And 2 girls die as well. So I believe there are 4 or 5 victims total at the theater. This 13-year-old goes missing in
Yeah.
Asotin from which is about 6 miles,
Right.
7 miles from the theater. The guy that slept through it in that theater said that he didn't hear any of this happen. Um, was actually a suspect. It was his stepdaughter that she left from their house, and all they
Mhm.
ever found was her bike. She was 13 years old,
Mm.
and he then so little girl goes missing from his home. Then he's at a theater, and all these people die, and 2 women
Mhm.
go missing within they show, like it's called Cold Valley on Discovery, you can watch
Mm.
the investigation, and I'm gonna tell you, when I stop there and film, it gives me, like, something really bad happened, and I think the reason why it's gone so many years unsolved is I think that something demonic's there. I think somebody got like, you can get jumped. So a spirit can jump into your body. You can allow it. Like, I've allowed it one time for a reading. It wiped me out for 3 days straight.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh.
and it's very unsafe if you have a spirit that's like, and something we talked about, the Amityville Horror House. A
Mm,
shotgun is going off. How do
yep,
none of
yep,
those kids, and there was multiple kids in there.
mm,
I think, and Kai agrees with me, we believe that something oppressed them where they were not gonna wake it. Like, it was like somebody gave them a sleeping pill, and
that or something prevented
something
them from either something prevented them from waking up, it kept them asleep, or something prevented them from hearing it. I tend to go with
yes,
the something kept them sleeping, but
I'm with you. I think something kept them asleep. I think I think it was like they went to bed and it was like Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, they were never gonna they were meant to wake up.
right.
They weren't gonna ever wake up. And I think the brother was actually under a demonic. I think he had been out drinking. I think that something hitched a ride,
Hmm.
and, I think there was something in that house or something hitched a ride with him or had been with him. I think there's something that's been left out of the story that maybe that it just make him
Okay,
I
thanks.
think he left something out of the story because it'd make him sound even crazier or he already feels bad enough. I mean, the man feels awful what's happened, you know, and I don't think he knew that he truly was slaughtering his family. I really don't. And I
So,
still think
so
that there's that something there. And I think that the people that own that home
there's
keep it
something
quiet
looming. There's
because
something looming over the house, and the reason why I believe that is because when I was speaking to the homeowner, kind of real quick without giving too much away, he said, no, we don't have anything. There's no occurrences. The worst harassment they get, so to speak, is people knocking on the door. Oh my God, this is. Do you know what house this is? But um, for those who don't know, the Amityville Horror House, it's a very extremely, again, probably the most famous haunt. I use air quotes, but haunting. Um, in the United States. There's a town in on Long Island, which is in New York. The town is called Amityville, and there was a house that a family was living there. And if I remember correctly, I, I believe there were two families. Well, there were the two most, I guess, infamous families were the DeFeos and the Lutzes. I forget who
yep,
lived there first. I want to say it was the Lutzes that lived there first, and then the
the
DeFeos. But
Lutzes lived
I may
there
have
first and then the DeFeos. And the
so
Lutzes is
the
who
Lutzes lived there,
the yeah.
and something happened. I'm pretty sure someone got killed in the house when the Lutz family was there, but I could be wrong about that. So something
The
happened that
Lutz
caused the Lutz family to move out. The
the
DeFeos
Lutz
then bought the
family is
house.
who got murdered, is
Okay,
I
so that's
thought.
what.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
so
Lutz
there was a
family
murder.
is who the yeah, and the
So the Lutz
DeFeos
family
had
had a
major
murder in the
issues.
house. So the Lutz family had a murder in the house. See, I could have sworn it was both families, but so the first
I
family
think
that
there
lived
was
there,
I think there was a murder before the Lutzes moved
probably.
in that home, and the
So
DeFeos had activity too. But I think that ground it's not like, you say looming, I think it's the ground, like the Conjuring house, um,
yeah,
people would say that's pretty famous in, like, Villisca, but not like Amityville.
mhm,
Amityville really blew it really blew up more of parapsychology and things like that,
oh yeah.
and the ground is bad, like it looms over, but the ground to fix that home, you would have to fix the grids in the ground and
Mm,
fix I think there it was native ground as well. I don't think that was BS.
mm.
I read the book at a very young age, very freaky book for a 8-year-old to be reading. Um, and I am a firm believer that the ground is highly tainted, but go ahead, please. You
So
actually got to
I
be
could
there, so
so I know that there was two families, the more famous families that lived there were the Lutzes and the DeFeos. I could be wrong about the Lutzes. I think they were the first ones to live there. I'm pretty sure there was a murder that happened there. I could be wrong, or someone died in the house that it wasn't a murder. But in any case, so the Lutzes moved out. They sold their home to the DeFeo family. That's the family that's infamous for the Amityville Horror House killing. The husband, as the story goes, the husband basically murdered his entire family. For them, basically murdered his entire family. Used a shotgun, killed his children, I believe killed his
I
wife. I
now
could be wrong.
I it was the oldest brother actually that
Okay,
he actually killed his mom, his dad,
that's yeah.
and I think
Mhm.
6 siblings. There was quite a few. He was I think there was 7. Yeah, he killed his mom, his dad,
That's right. It was the
um,
brother. I'm sorry I'm
and
thinking for some reason
and
I'm confusing the
I
Texas
mean, he had a
Chainsaw Massacre
sister.
movie.
He, he was like 19. This is where
Yeah, he was
yeah,
young.
yeah, he could drink. At that it was in the time where the drinking age hadn't changed, so he was able to drink.
So
And
he, the brother in the family
yeah,
murdered. I could have sworn it was the father,
yes,
but it's probably the brother. He murdered
it was
all the
the
children
son.
pretty much,
Yeah,
and it drew so much a lot of attention that the they're passed on now, but the Ed and Lorraine Warren went to the house to investigate. And for those that don't know who Ed and Lorraine Warren is, they are subjectively probably the most famous demon hunters, occultists, whatever you want to refer to them as, in arguably the entire world. They did many investigations in America, uh, Rhode Island, Connecticut, in England. That excuse me, they went there to investigate the house. If anyone's familiar with the movie Annabelle, that's another case that they did, the Annabelle doll. So basically, the Amityville Horror House is a house where a family moved in, and I can't remember if the entire family got murdered, but if not the entire family, almost all the family got murdered. And the person that did the killing used a shotgun. So that goes back to what Tracy was talking about. Even if you've never fired a gun, even if you've never been around an actual gun that goes off, everyone for the most part knows a shotgun is not quiet. In How are you going into a bedroom? No matter how big it is, it doesn't matter how big the bedroom is. It's got 4 walls. A shotgun's really loud. The sound's going to bounce off the walls, and the children did not wake up,
it's
and they
really
died
and
multiple times.
it was
So
the it was the oldest son. He had went out drinking that night. He came home, and the cops actually he really wasn't that drunk. Like,
he wasn't
uh
inebriated, right?
yeah, he wasn't sloppy drunk or, what you would expect for somebody who but, because I know it's him because of the book. It did actually
Mhm.
have, it showed, body bags, to be honest with you. It showed them loading, the bodies into ambulances
Hmm.
and, taking them for, of course, they're gonna, autopsy him because it is a, um, murder,
Mhm.
and he didn't even have a reason why he did it. Like, there
Right.
was no fight, there was no he
No
lived in the home with
arguing.
his
Yeah.
folks. Yeah, there was no reason, and to this day,
No
um,
provocation.
you know, he has no to this day, he still can't say why he did it, and I honestly think there's the land something attached to him, and he was drunk enough that his vibration was down, and I think it had already been attached to him, and and he just I think just maybe something just he doesn't even remember being mad about anything, like,
Mhm.
something just went over him, he grabbed his father's shotgun,
Did what he
and
did.
none of them, and there was multiple kids, I mean, it wasn't like just I mean, and there was a 5-year-old, and I think the youngest was a little girl, and then there was, like, a 5-year-old little boy. They
Mhm.
were 5 let's, the the famous picture they say is it's actually the publicist, and he actually came out and said
Mm.
the photo of the kid that they thought was a little ghost boy, the
But yeah, but
publicist actually
he took
came
it
out
right
and
out of
said, "Hey, that's actually me," and he was wearing the same shirt. It was actually him, and you can actually when you see what he's wearing that day, but there was a little boy that
Mm.
was in there, and he had I mean, he had a sibling closer to his age, I mean, I think there was 5 to like, he was one of 7, and not any and then you add so 7 kids minus him, that's 6, if I'm correct. I could be wrong on the kid count, but I'm pretty sure they had quite a few kids.
7.
'Cause
Yep,
yeah,
I'm
and
pretty
so
sure.
you take him out of the account, that's 6 with 2 adults. That's
Mm.
8 people. I mean, the mom didn't even wake up, because I believe he said from what they understood is he shot his mom, his dad first, then his mother, went by age down, and you would think that one of the older siblings would have heard that mom and dad,
Mm.
gotten up, checked, and when the next you know, y you're smart enough to creep in the shadows to think, "Oh,
Mm.
is there an intruder?" You know,
Mhm.
why didn't they get out?" It was like none of them moved from their beds, like, there was
Mm.
no bed sheets moved, nothing, and
Mhm.
it was like, "What?"
No one woke up.
That
Yeah, it's
has
crazy.
to that has to be highly demonic. That's like demonic oppression, but just keeping you in down. Like, because you would think that one of the brother, a little bit, I think he had like a 11 or 12-year-old brother. You would have heard that and you would have gotten you would have crept through and got the younger siblings out. You would have ran to a neighbor's and said, "Hey, my brother's running around our house with the shotgun. Can you call the cops?" I mean,
I mean, even if that
they
weren't to
never woke
happen,
up.
I mean, even if that weren't to have happened, the fact that I mean, we all know that kids can be very deep sleepers, but at the same time, a shotgun is very loud. I mean, there's a reason why when you go to the shooting range
It,
outside and you're using a shotgun, you need ear protection. So imagine being inside of a bedroom, a room, and having that go off. I don't care how hard of a sleeper you are waking. Maybe
you're
not.
gonna wake it.
Maybe, and I mean like very small percent chance. Maybe you might not wake up from the first one going off, and even that's like extremely low chance. But multiple shotgun blasts, I don't care how hard of a sleeper you are, you're waking up. There's just no way
Yeah,
around it. You're waking up. I mean, just the
and
way that the human body is.
and
A
I
sound
and
on that level is gonna jolt you awake.
yep, and I wonder what was it that kept them. And I mean, it'd be cool to be able to get into that house, and I think the reason they changed even the, address of that home because those people were being hounded so much, and, you know, I know, like, some people have gone out and, investigated, on the sidewalk because,
Mm.
it's they can't
It's
do anything
public
about
space.
investigating it's public.
Exactly.
It's
If you're on
not
public
private.
property,
R
exactly.
Yeah,
If you can
and
see it from public, you can record it from public. Yep.
but I think also I think they do experience something, but I think that it's not been I don't think they would go public with it. I think it's they just want
Yeah.
to live a peaceful life, and I think the reason why they don't let anybody go in there is I think they know that it would stir it. I think it would
Yeah.
just be stirring that pot. I think because you got a lot of investigators that go in and
Mhm.
think about it. Anybody can say, "Hey, I'm an investigator." Anybody these days can. I mean, sadly, the ethics of investigating it's become a money circus, and anybody can say they're, "Hey, I'm a paranormal investigator." They wake up and decide that, and you know, having all these people traipse through your home and stuff like that. Yeah, you can make a lot of money. A lot of these homes, like the Conjuring house, yeah, it's like $1,000 a person for 8 hours, and they have to see your footage. And I can see why the people that own that home don't want like, wouldn't
Yep.
let, just I
And
think if it was the right team and they
right,
might let them
maybe.
in, but I think there's still stuff that happens there. I think they're just
I
not
think it's
willing
very
to
low
go
level stuff.
public with it.
I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
think
me personally, but my personal opinion is I think it's that I think stuff still does happen there, but I think it's very infrequent, not that often, and very, very low level stuff like, hey, I could have sworn my mug was over there, but it's over here. Low level stuff like that, to where you could, easily just chalk it up to I had it here, but I thought I had it here, but I was wrong. If something major would have happened in that house, not like what happened before, but something major. Someone home alone in the house, let's say, and feels that they got shoved down the stairs, let's say. I don't think
yep,
they would report it because of the history tied to the house. If they're,
yep,
someone's standing at the top of the stairs about to go down, they feel that they get shoved, they go like that, they break their, God forbid, they break their hip or something like that. They have to call an ambulance, and then the news gets out. Poof! Everyone's reporters, everyone, and especially
right back
nowadays
to the
with the paranormal investigators and the mainstream media, they're all going to flock. And I can tell you right now, so our local news station for all of Long Island, it's called News 12 Long Island. They would definitely, I mean, and definitely go to the house to want to get interviews. And then the YouTubers, there's a lot of investigative journalists on Long Island. They would just if they get even a whisper that something happened in that house again. I
Mhm.
mean, it's especially if it's something major like that. It's gonna definitely gonna make local news. It's definitely gonna make state news. And the owners of the house,
It'd make
all these
national news,
people
it'd make
wanting to
national
talk
news, that
to
house would make national news, it would. And
them.
think of you look at YouTube, think of TikTok. TikTok, it's
Oh,
back
TikTok would
open.
blow up.
Think of all the I mean, there's billions of people on TikTok. I know
Mhm.
that because I know
And
people that
TikTok,
have
yeah,
1,000,000,000
Instagram,
followers.
YouTube,
And, you've got all these people trying
all
to grab a slice of the pie,
all the social
and
media platforms
I
would blow up if anything would have happened
and
at the house again on a grand scale. And the
I
homeowners
would
don't want to
like
be
to
bothered,
yeah,
which I
they
can
don't
understand.
who would want that? Like, I mean, when you're little, you talk about being famous, and then the older you get, you realize, "Would I really wanna
You
be
get more
famous
privacy.
where I can't lay in my pool I have to
Mhm.
have security because somebody is gonna
I'm taking the trash out.
snap
You don't want
a
to open
picture
the
of
door to
me?
go
Yeah,
get
yeah,
the trash out because you know there's going
yeah,
to be
click,
somebody
click,
there,
click, you're
which is
always yeah, and I wondered, you sitting there at the house, what you felt because I know that you had to have felt there was I
I
mean,
guess I guess
yeah,
we'll get into
I
that
know you
I guess we'll get into that on. I mean, if you want, we could do a whole live on just my experience with
why don't yeah,
Amityville Horror
and
House. I
And
will say this. So it was very, very unique. I've gone to, I'm not going to exaggerate. I'll say probably 200 different places that were either haunted, supposedly haunted, whatever else. And out of all the places I've ever been to, besides the Oyster Factory, is definitely number one in terms of activity and things like
I
that. But the
can't wait.
Amityville Horror House
I can't wait. I'm
it was the
excited.
most unique experience I've ever had. And I don't I like to think I don't have much of a I like to think I don't have a big ego. I don't like to brag or toot my own
No,
horn,
you
but I have to say this though: the way that I was able to get in the house, and I didn't do it illegally. I'm not going to say how I did it on this live, but
no,
the way
yeah,
I did it
no.
was I like to think it was pretty ingenious. Pretty ingenious.
Very ingenious. It was
Um,
it was in a way, and it wasn't you did it in a
it was deceitful.
respectful
It was
way.
deceitful, but it was in a. It was deceitful, but it was. I played. I don't know. I just. I played. To give a hint, I played stupid about the house. That's all I'm going to say in this live.
Yeah,
If you want on another live, I could go into full detail and
I
tell my
think
experience in
I
the house.
I think that we should do a full live on it,
Sure.
and we'll get the history. Let's do due diligence
Hmm.
to the victims and give,
Yeah.
names. I do know some of the names, and then talk about, what happened because it was a media
Oh, it made
shit
national
show as
news.
yeah, it made everything. I mean, that was I mean, and Amityville is considered kind of the ritzy area. It at that
At
time,
that time,
I
yeah.
mean, and the
We're-
homes are still really expensive there. I mean, that home didn't even with what it um
Even for back
I
then, it
think
was.
the judge yeah, I think it's still I mean, they bought it for like 100 or 200,000. Back then, that was a couple $1,000,000, and now it's still worth millions of dollars. I mean, I think these people bought it for, like,
Cheaper.
3,000,000 because you can look that up. That's
Yes.
public record.
Public
You can
information.
find out what somebody's paid for a
Mhm.
a home, and,
And the
it's
area of
still a
Amityville that the house is in, because there's like any town, there's parts of town, and then there's the not nice
oh,
parts of town.
yeah,
The area that that house is in, especially the street that it's on, the homes are gorgeous, and the house itself isn't
yeah,
gigantic big. It's just a normal regular house, but it's on a very nice street. It's got nice trees, on the sidewalks. It's a very beautiful area, and the block that it's on, it's very nice. The houses are nice. Nothing over the top crazy, but they're nice houses. The house still,
yeah,
the front of the house still, they remodeled the house, but the house still on the outside still has the classic, two shutters and then the window
yeah,
down there. So like
and I
these two
know
windows,
they still have the round half window
yep,
up
yep,
top, the
the crescent
class,
window.
and they
Hmm.
had, it was somebody that had went, like, on the sidewalk, I think it was Ghost Adventures, because 'cause I'm gonna say it, Zach Baggins, he's really done some shady crap, and, I don't think going to somebody's sidewalk is correct, and I think he thought he could be smooth and talk his
Way
do
in.
his spill, and, you know, I I I'm entitled to my opinion about somebody. You know, e come sue me for nothing. I mean, I'm not
I don't know who this person
saying
is,
anything
so I never heard of
bad.
him. But,
Yeah, he does Ghost Adventures.
okay,
Um, he did Ghost Adventures, and he has
okay,
a haunted museum in Vegas and stuff like
yeah,
that. He got, Dr. Kevorkian's van that he did the assisted suicide.
mhm,
I oh, that's for another day. I do believe that if you were terminal brain cancer, we know will give you this BS story that you get 3 months, 3 to 6 months. We know you have about 3 weeks. And I think that somebody should be able to end their life with because everyone that I've seen go, their personality changes right before they go, and it's so hard on the family. And I think you have that right to say at that when you know it's terminal, to die on your own terms, to say, "Okay, they can't do any more for me. I can die where I'm in pain, or I can die peacefully
Mm.
and lay down and be with my family and say my goodbyes and be clear-headed and it not be so bad." So I don't think what he did was bad, and that's for another day, but we will do the Amityville. We'll get, you know,
Sure.
families, give the due diligence, and I will do the research of, the names, each
Mm.
family member, and, I will also get the other family that moved in that was out and see if I can't find something that happened
Right.
before that, because I think in Lorraine, I don't know that I think they researched parts of it, but I don't know, I think they more or less came in and did investigations, and sadly, you know, there's the Warren Foundation. I have a friend that was part of it. He quit doing it. A lot of things are found out about the Warrens, faking and things, but also
Mm.
I don't think all their investigations were fake. I think they did a lot of places, I mean, that were very real, and, you know, the publicist it's on him that he didn't tell the truth about the photo.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
I think Lorraine did really see a little boy. It just wasn't who was captured on camera. I think she
Mm.
did see a little boy. I really
Mm.
do. I think she saw one of the Lutz's children, or the DeFeos.
Divorce.
I'm getting them, but we will when you're
Mhm.
ready. I'll get the history, and we'll get who, and I'll see if I might have to have you since you're closer that way.
Mm.
Maybe help me try to find out who lived there before, because
Mhm.
that might be a puzzle piece that we're missing to why. Because he, to this day, I mean, he's still locked up. I mean, he was
Right.
like 19. I mean, he was really young when he did this. He's still locked up and alive. I mean, it was in the 80s. I mean, he's 60. He's roughly in his
Mhm.
60s. And to this day, he doesn't know, he really doesn't, he can't say, like, well, I was mad at my dad, or
Right.
that doesn't mean you murder your brothers and sisters because you're mad at Pa. I mean, it's just one of those things. So I wonder if there isn't a key to it that lies back further of the land,
Mm.
because there may have been a house before that house was built that something bad happened that it's not come to light. We don't know what stood there. You know, in the book, they say that it was native and that it
Mm.
was angry native spirits and stuff like
Mm.
that. But I don't get that it was, you know, if it was burial grounds, they would have, I mean, they may have
Had some
moved them,
activity
but
like that.
yeah, but I mean, and I know this home is on the water because
Mm.
they had a boathouse,
Mhm.
and I saw a picture of it, and it was actually beautiful. It was just as the
It's a nice
sun was
property.
going down,
Mhm.
and they had, the old wood lawn chairs that are really pretty. They
Mhm.
had those sitting out facing the water, and they had, like, bigger windows, kinda like picture windows, but the blinds were kinda down. You could see, like, some recliners,
Mm.
and, of course, the window was what keyed me because you wouldn't have if that window wasn't there, you would if they took that, you would not have a clue of that house really, unless you knew. Because they did change the address and stuff. But we will. The next time we come on, we'll definitely touch into that. And you don't have to tell how you got in. I think because I think if we let that cat out of the bag,
Some
I
people might get
think
the idea.
if yeah, and maybe it might be a way if as us growing as a YouTube channel together and doing some investigations, maybe we can talk them into letting us go in and just, you know, and you know,
Might not remember,
maybe
but
they
yeah.
would be willing, even outside,
I mean, maybe.
just
I mean,
going to their boathouse,
even if it's just like a sit down that's not in the house, like somewhere. I don't know, like even if it's in
a
my house, 'cause
diner.
they're not that.
Yeah,
Because I'm maybe I'll say about a depending on traffic, an hour away from that house. So they might. I don't know. Like maybe I can reach out to them either via letter because I don't want to. Yeah, I probably reach out to them by letter. Send a letter in the mail. See if he's open to the idea
yeah,
of um of meeting up and doing an interview. You know, even if it's at my house or somewhere private, because I wouldn't want to have that interview if he was agreeable to it to do it in a public set. Not I don't think anyone would really recognize him, but still, it's very personal stuff that happened. So I wouldn't want it
and
done.
we could, and if he's willing to, I think also letting them know we can. I know you have the technology to blur out his face, I think
Oh yeah,
for
I mean,
all fairness,
he could even be
it
off camera. Like the
you
camera
know
could be facing me, and he could be like
yeah,
sitting behind.
yeah,
So I'm completely okay with that if
yeah,
he's okay,
and I would love to hear, and I believe he's married, he has a wife, and it would be lovely to have a sit down with them and just talk about their experience of owning that home and what's
right.
happened, and,
And
you
then even
know,
the
because
experience of like of what the house buying process was like for them if they knew any of the history. Obviously, we'll get into the details of the house itself, but also to talk to them to get to know them. Not just what happened in the house, obviously, but
yeah, as people, because, clearly they they with I think New York law, you have to disclose if something is haunted. Like, there are states that have laws that say that you have to disclose if there was a crime
oh, that yeah,
committed,
yeah,
and
yes,
there are
yes.
some
Before just
states
selling the house, yeah.
that you don't have to disclose anything that and, another one I'd like to touch with you is, so they call it the Sally House, which there's no little girl there. There was no little girl named Sally. Now it has the same address as the Axe Murder House, the Velisca
Mhm.
address, and a lot of people are saying there is like uh, like a correlation, and I think I think it's called the Monroe House. If it the true name of it, it's a lot of
Mhm.
people call it the Sally House, but I might be getting it mixed up. I might be wrong on that, but I think it is truly the Monroe House. And this house doesn't it messes with your mind. Like, you have to go into these homes, and I think the murderer stays. I think his hell for what he did is being locked at where he did it, because he put sheets above the mirror. Clearly he felt bad that he had done something. He didn't want to see himself, and I think he's at that house but I think the energies travel back. And I think what has happened is people before it really got big into investigating, yeah, people have always investigated. I think you get some people that not really knowing what they're doing, they've opened
Right.
portals. I think
Mhm.
that there's an open portal in both homes and it actually goes back and forth,
Mhm.
and that's why you get evidence of things moving because that murderer is able to go through the portal in, and where the Sally house is more demonic, it messes with your mind. It likes to, yeah, I mean, I've seen so many people have to walk out like eh, coughing violently, and it's a home that you have to have your guard up. You
Mhm.
everything guarded, but we will, since you have the you have the deets on one of the coolest houses, the Amityville house, best deets ever. I mean, not many people can say besides friends of those people they've been in
Mhm.
that home. I mean, think about it. There is not a lot of
True.
people that probably have been in that house. I mean, and that are not friends or family of them,
Right.
and I know it does have a basement. It was able to, I think each kid had their own room with the attic space and the basement, because I know the son that did it, he was in the basement. There
Mhm.
was rooms in the basement. It had a basement, um, the main floor, and then there was a 3rd floor, and I think
Mhm.
like a attic that you could use as rooms,
Like
like
a
a little
loft.
girl played up. Yeah. Like, it was big enough that, because back then, homes, they used attics to store all your stuff, or you put
Mhm.
this, and
Mhm.
that's why there was, like, homes weren't tons of closets weren't everywhere. Like,
Right.
homes now, we build closets to put our stuff. Our
Mhm.
attic spaces are normally ductwork, and, it's not a place, but no, I'll get on that, and I know it's later in New York, and, please shout out your channel name, and we will get this. I will figure out once I get this, um, it's on my channel, it's out. I have
Mhm.
one it's pending, and it asked me to delete it, and I don't know why it's doing that. Like, I went live, so it's showing that I went live 3 months ago, and I went live, you fell asleep when we were supposed to do the interview
Mhm.
that night, and I just went live for a little bit talking about animals and stuff like that, and it shows like it's an upcoming thing, and it was
Mhm.
one that I went live, and it shouldn't have done that, so, um, let them know your channel name, and then I will, have you figure out I'll give you the sign in to get into my channel to get this
Mhm.
on your channel, so that, and I will also post the thing, because if we would have had a chat, I would have pinned the comment for your
Right.
channel so that you can get the subscribers, because it is later, and 2 other people did come on, and uh, they may want to check out what you put out. There's things that you can put out on your channel that you can talk about, that doesn't have to just be me interviewing you. You have a lot of things that, just like me, um it's weird for me to just sit and talk about myself, so it's nice to have somebody,
Right.
ask you things.
Mhm.
It's weird for me just to do that. It seems like I'm being just about me, but, you know
That's
and
right.
I'm learning to be more open, because people make fun of people like us. They think we're lying, and it's like, um I'm not lying about what I have to tell you. Like, I can say very personal things. I'll know that, you know, people all feel chest things and I get their symptoms and like I had no back pain when this started and I have a feeling I know somebody's having a little bit of back back here where like their back is hurting somewhere around somebody
That's
on
probably me.
is had
The middle of my back. The middle of my back's
your
hurting me
middle
a
of
lot
your
because
back hurting? The
because
middle of my
I'm
back
leaning
is and that's where I hit. Is right here
because
is yeah, from where you're the way you're sitting. So but
exactly. I'm
we'll
kind
get
of leaning
the
forward.
yeah, and people will watch this live and hopefully um we can get you to 50 so you can go live. You can record though and put
Yeah,
out until you hit and I can't tell you what to do, but I think that you
yeah.
have some very compelling things.
My channel is very. I mean, extremely small. I think I have 24, maybe 25 subscribers. I I I don't. I think I have shorts on there, maybe three, and I think one video, but it's nothing about paranormal or demonic stuff. So I do have to start putting that kind of content on my channel.
And and we can also record an interview to put on your
Hmm.
channel on like I said I will have you go into mine and get this put out
Hmm.
on your channel because I do have friends that be willing to subscribe to you and love to hear what you'd have to say. And you and I will be investigating together. So, that's also where, you know, hopefully by then, uh, we can have a camera and
Yep.
then I can be a phone. We can do one on TikTok and then the camera, and then we can
Mhm.
put it on there. And but we'll figure that all out. And um, uh, I'll let you get off. Goodbye, and I'll bug you for a minute after this, and then
Mhm.
good night, everyone. Thank you for coming on. Please leave a like and share. And if you watch this, I'm gonna give it to Kai to give him his channel name, and I will
Okay.
be posting it as well. So go ahead and let them know your channel name
So name of
uh
my channel is Shadows of the Vast.
and I will be posting a link and I will do a post how to and please go sub to him. Um
I'm sorry, she's sleeping. I'm sorry. She look.
oh yeah, she is so look at it there. Looked up she wears
She,
pajamas to bed. Oh, she knew we were talking. Yeah, Bear he's out like a light. She's so cute. She's so adorable. That little
yeah, she's
butterball.
probably
She just is. She. I think it
she's
was
probably
funny that
bugging
she
me
stole your
before because
sausage.
she was probably bugging me before because at usually at like maybe like 10 to midnight or 10 to 12 or like at midnight I'll put her in her pajamas. So she was probably bugging me before like, oh hey dad, like like why am I not in my
Oh,
pajamas?
yeah. Where's my PJs? That's what I was gonna say. She wears PJs to bed, so
Hmm.
she's probably like, hello, what's wrong with you? But yeah, no, we'll get your. I'm gonna write a post that the live. I gotta figure out why there was no chat. Like I must have hit something that
You know what
didn't
it could
allow
be?
a chat, or
It might have been, and I'm not sure what if you take the setting or not. If you, I believe, if you mark it as made for kids, that it automatically doesn't have a comment section, just in case if
okay,
someone
the
wants to
next.
say something stupid or inappropriate. So that that could be it.
Okay, that's I did hit that, and that's
Yep.
why maybe. So next
Hmm.
time we'll try that. I'll make sure it's not that it has to be 18 or older, and
Right.
then we'll see if that brings it. And uh, I'll actually try that with you if you have time tomorrow. We'll just like do
Sure.
like hop on and just
Hmm.
I'll see if that's it. We'll just
Yep.
test it and then I can just garbage it.
Hmm.
and then we'll know. So next time more people will come on because now we have a second person and it's sad they can't comment probably because I hit made for
Maybe with the
kids.
kids.
And in a sense, nothing we've said has been ultimately scary
Right.
where somebody that's 15 or 16 couldn't hear, but I'll make sure next time we'll test it out. Like I said,
Hmm.
thank goodness for you with that, or I'd be I'd be wondering what I'd be Googling it probably, and I bet you're right. It's because I hit that, and I didn't think, any child should be up past this time, one, and, it's late for a child to be up, and, I didn't think that I didn't think that through, but
Right.
thank you for everybody that came on and did leave 3 likes. Hey, and
Thank you
hopefully
very
you'll
much.
leave a comment for us and you'll listen to this interview. Next one up will be Amityville, and
Mhm.
then we'll kind of go. I will have Kai interview me, hopefully on his channel. We can get him to 50 subs. And I am posting his as soon as I get off here. I will be posting the link to his go over there and copy it. It should, and there will be a post, hey, blah, 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 explaining what had happened with the live and a link to his channel. Please, if you will do me that favor, leave a like, leave a comment, and please go over and subscribe to him. And I will have that up here in just a minute. Thank you so much for this. And next up is going to be Amityville. And I will be going out to a cemetery this week. I'm not gonna say what cemetery. There will be people that know where I'm at because of safety reasons. I will be going at night, yes, and and there will be some cemeteries I will be visiting during the day. Hopefully, if things go right, I should have a piece of equipment coming in like
Beginning of February.
week and a half. Yeah, in
Mhm.
February. It should be um if this person uses the place that talking about their shipping's pretty fast, so we're what, 6 days to that date, so, like, in about 10 days, 10 to 14
Mm.
days, uh, roughly, their shipping's like 3 days. Their standard shipping is just 3 days, like, they get and then they're not far from me, so it could be even quicker than that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just their I looked at it, and that's their standard. That's what you pay for, so, um, hopefully and then I'll have some stuff out for you guys, but thank you, Kai, for coming on. This was a little bit
Most
longer, but
welcome.
we did get into I'd forgotten about the Amityville, and I think there's a piece of a puzzle that maybe you and I can unlock, and maybe we can
Hmm.
lock down even getting you an interview with them, and
Well, I
hopefully
would
I can
absolutely,
be
I
a
would
part of
absolutely love
that.
that. Hmm.
But it's worth the try of hey, y- I would like, I met you. You don't have to be on camera. By no
Hmm.
means do I, we can take your face off, where and we can even change your voice. There's
Yep.
lots of
Voice modulated.
programs that
Hmm.
yeah, you that and there is captioning for channels. So,
Hmm.
we can put the captioning out. It does it itself. So, they'll understand what the person's saying, but we're gonna give you full, anonymity where nobody's gonna
I
know
would
it's
love to do
you.
that. Hmm.
And I think that it's worth a try. I think actually I get that they would say yes if you gave them that option and said, you know,
Well, of course.
just it's not just paranormal. Let's just talk about being the owners of that place
Right.
and what you've gone through of dealing with the fallout. because sadly, they got the fallout of something of just buying a home. I mean, of
because of
a
how
a
famous the home
famous
is.
house. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like going and buying the Conjuring house. You
Yeah.
know, do I think there's a little bit of BS with the Conjuring house? I do. But do I think there is something there? Yes, I do. I think it 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 I think it has that's why the land is the way you don't see birds, don't see anything really. I mean, I didn't even see squirrels, and they went out and laid some offerings, and I didn't even see evidence of any type of animals at all. And I'm like, that's something you take note in. A land that and Mr. Ballin told a story about a rich couple. It's a true story. And I'll have to tell you more about it, but uh it's illegal to go into this forest. Now, his wife, um, uh, what he was a doctor and he went away. He didn't think he was gonna be gone long. She didn't meet him at the train platform, and this was like they'd had Christmases at this cabin. And
Mm.
now this forest is locked down, and it's actually in New York, I believe. And they bought like 1,500 acres. They bought a vast amount, and now you're not to be in like what happened. And he's of sound mind. Like I want to say his wife didn't make it. I could be wrong. It could be I'll have to go back and look at but it was a story Mr. Ballin told that's true, and they locked part of the these
Property.
acreage down because what had happened, and it was not just paranormal, it was it what she encountered was and he ended up seeing it was just it wasn't like the Jersey Devil or anything like that. It was something pure craziness, and it it kinda lays it's in the paranormal part of it,
Right.
but it was it sadly, paradise ended up being hell, so but I'm gonna let everybody go, and thank you for coming on, and next time, we have Kion, we'll be talking about the Amityville Horror and we'll see what we can do to all get the history straight, and Kai will tell, I don't wanna say how he gets in, but just kinda his interaction with the people. It's actually a great story. I think keeping how you got in there is a secret
That's
would
probably
be
a good
a good
idea, just because I don't want to give the idea
yeah,
to other people. if we
yeah,
if we are able to interview the husband, the male homeowner, then
yes,
that's when I'll tell that. But that's down the road. That's a big if. I will
and
reach out to
I
him.
think
I will write him a letter, stating
and
who I am,
actually
what my intentions are. Give him the option of off camera, or if he wants to be on camera, show his face, blur the face, voice distortion,
yeah.
whatever he's more comfortable with. If he chooses to do it, if he does, as if he does agree to the interview, that's during the interview. That's when I'll tell you guys, and also tell him, because he
And
doesn't
maybe now here's a thought. I think maybe uh not telling anybody so they don't get that because the way you got in was really smart
true.
and
So
just
I
think
if he agrees to the
that
interview,
that
I'll
would
probably tell him
and
off camera.
I think
Yeah.
off camera being honest and saying, "Hey, I really did
This is what.
blah blah blah," but I think it would be and being honest and saying, I'm really sorry. I was just, I
I was being deceitful. I
it,
was no the way that I was able to have him let me in his house and whatever. It wasn't anything illegal. I like I broke into the house, climbed in. It was
no,
he invited
no,
me in.
yeah,
Yeah,
you were a guest. You were a guest. I
mhm,
mean, he easily could have shut the door, but I think
yeah.
it would give a lot of people.
That
You
the
got
idea to
all
use.
the kooks out.
Mhm. We do. Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
this didn't, just like yesterday,
no,
and you know,
yeah.
that gives
That's a good point.
people. So I think that if you say, "Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I owe this to you," but I don't think telling
Yeah, it
my
shouldn't be
this
on
is my
camera.
personal feeling. I think that would just give them an onslaught of shit they don't
Yeah.
need because they already get enough as it is. I mean, I
Hmm.
couldn't imagine having some YouTuber or TikToker out there with a REM pod and a spirit box sitting on my,
Mm.
um,
Come
sidewalk,
come to knock on the door
conducting
and
it.
do the same with it I did.
Yeah, even,
'Cause, people would, I mean, realistically, people would probably try it, and then it opens him up to,
um,
harassment, and then, well, where'd they get this idea from? All these people are doing the same, are saying the same thing. Where'd it come from? Oh, I heard it from this person, and then yeah, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to get sued. So it's a good point.
a famous YouTuber that does I'm not gonna say his name, but he does the conspiracy files, which I agree with my friend Jeff. If he's exposing a lot of pedophile rings and stuff like that, he's touching on where it's getting high up. And he, uh he even went to Bohemian Grove, which everybody, if you know about Bohemian Grove, I've read some stories, and he does Murder in America. They sat outside and did an investigation in the car, and that's where the ethics of paranormal, which one of these days I want to talk about, us not making the paranormal a money grab and a circus because it is not. It's very real, and you know, there are things that, you know, you get demonic things that are about money. I mean, you get things that stay like, murders, they may not pass on, and they become earthbound and you don't change your stripes sometimes. I mean, some do. Some sit in there and realize there are people that, that realize that what they did was extremely wrong. And there are some that don't. So, I mean, that's just kind of my thing. And I definitely think that being ethical with the paranormal is we need to be smarter with those things, and I think saying the way you would is kinda going over an ethical thing we'd give
Yeah,
to me people that
the idea to
and,
do
yeah, the idea to do it, and I don't think anybody deserves that to
it.
I mean, you have an IQ higher than most, and it was really smart, but it's not something I think maybe being honest with them just for good karma, but
Yeah.
I don't think for the audience, and that's just my
Mm,
opinion. You can toss it out the window, but
mm.
I mean, I just think that we'd be giving a lot of people that
The
are
idea.
all about just this, and me, we've had long discussions about me reading and charging, and you know, I could charge for each session, and I'm not going to because I just don't think that it's yeah,
That's
it'd
right.
make me money that that would buy the equipment I need.
Mm,
Um, but is it right to do? No, for me, it just isn't. I think, and I see it's sad. I see these women that are reading off they've written down what these cards mean a certain way, and they're doing 3 card pulls, and they're $20, and I mean, I'm like and, like, you get generous people that have money that are bored and they want entertainment at night, and they'll buy like, a man bought me a 3 card pull, and it was actually my birthday, and none of what she said was correct because I know enough about tarot, and I was like but I wasn't rude, I thanked the gentleman, and I wasn't gonna be rude on her live stream because 'cause I'm just that's not my makeup, it's her own karma that's gonna come eat her alive, but, yeah, I just think, ethics is it's really going out the window with the paranormal, and it saddens me that I'm seeing our field be and a lot of people are blaming, like, the debunkers. The debunkers are trying to put back the ethics. They're saying, "Stop this. You're
Yep.
frauding. You're being frauds." There's a lot of people that support these channels. The reason why your channel gets big is because you have supporters. They pay for the memberships. Then they pay for the Patreon, which the membership and the Patreon are 2 different things. You pay $10 to be a Patreon,
Hmm.
and once you get monetized and you get a Patreon. Then you pay for that membership as well, because the Patreons get different things. And it's like, you start adding that money up, that you know,
Get big, yeah.
it's the people that watch you, and then you're defrauding them by lying about your investigations. That's fraud. They're giving you I mean, I watched people give hundreds, a $500 donation, and I'm like, "My goodness, where's my rich family?" I mean, it's you know and of course, there's, Cash Apps and all of that. PayPal's, those come I mean, because PayPal, YouTube takes their chunk. I mean, if it's through YouTube, you're better off to be supported the other way, but it's become, you know, still, if you're being fraudulent, you're still defrauding the people that are supporting you, and that's sad. But I will let you off. Thank you so much for coming on. And next time you see Kai, we will have the true facts of the Amityville and see what we can find out. Thank you so much. Please go over and subscribe. Let's get him to 50 at least, so he can at least go live and maybe have me on his channel or
Mhm.
whoever he decides. Have a great night, everybody, and thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you in a minute.
Yep.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming on. Good night. Please go subscribe. Have a great night. Thank you. And I will next time have that chat where you can actually chat. Thank you for everybody that came on. I appreciate you. And I'm sorry the chat was not I hit for kids and that may have stopped it, but I will know why next time. So have a great night.